And welcome back to another episode of Play Action Fantasy Football. This is Jonathan here with you guys. We're going over our Week 15 running back start sits, and we're going to go ahead and get it started pretty quickly today. Go hit subscribe real quick while you're listening. And first game we have up is our Thursday night game, the Chargers at the Raiders. We're going to have to start both of these guys. We're starting Eckler and Jacobs this week. Eckler, we all know what he's capable of. Again, Justin Herbert is most likely going to be out this next week, so it's going to affect him a little bit. It could play to his benefit, honestly, as the Chargers would rely on him a little bit more, but it also can hurt him just a little bit by Justin Herbert not being able to, extend drives, get him out the ball and stuff like that. So definitely still got to start Eckler this week against the struggling Raiders. And then Josh Jacobs, he is questionable this week, but it's looking good for him, so I definitely want to start him against the Chargers defense. As this Raiders offense, they had Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs. They really only have a couple options there, so they definitely are going to be giving it to Josh Jacobs against the Chargers defense. The next game we're going to is going to be this Saturday at 1 o'clock, Vikings at the Bengals. And we are looking at Alexander Mattison, Ty Chandler, and Joe Mixon. Alexander Mattison and Ty Chandler, as far as the Vikings go, Alexander Mattison is questionable. We're not too sure. Again, this is Tuesday that I record, so we'll have to see as it progresses throughout the week. However, Alexander Mattison, if he plays, is definitely going to be a start against this Bengals defense. And Ty Chandler, if Madison, for whatever reason, does not play, Ty Chandler is going to be a questionable start, or cautionary start, I should say. So if you have to put him in a flex position, if Madison isn't playing, late Sunday morning or Saturday night, whatever the case may be, you need to throw somebody in there. Ty Chandler might not be a bad idea if Madison isn't playing. So keep an eye on that. And as far as the Bengals go, Joe Mixon, definitely got to start him. He's been playing great, especially with Burrow being gone. I know Minnesota has a good defense, but it's not going to affect him that much. The next game we're going to is the Steelers at the Colts. That will be our 4 o'clock game on Saturday. And as far as these running backs go, it's going to be a tough one for me, I'm not going to lie. Jaylen Warren, we're starting him this week. Najee Harris is going to be a sit. Najee Harris has been dealing with some injury, and we're really unsure. Again, it's Tuesday, but we're unsure if he is going to be playing again this week. It would be a good matchup against the Colts for real. But I do think that either way, if Najee Harris does play, he's not going to be getting those 70% usage or anything like that, as he might be used to when he's not as banged up. So Jaylen Warren, though, definitely got to start him. Get him in your lineup. He definitely gets a lot of carries when Harris is fully healthy. He gets a lot of targets catching the ball, no matter who's at quarterback. So definitely get Jaylen Warren in your lineup this week as a start. And as far as the Colts go, Zach Moss, Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is doubtful, so I'm going to have to put him as a cautionary start. If he does play, he's going to be a little bit limited, so you might want to double think about putting him in your lineup. But Zach Moss, he's definitely going to be leading the backfield this week. Got to start him. The Pittsburgh defense, they're very, very, very mediocre, and Zach Moss is going to take advantage of that. And the Colts offense does not have a lot of other options, as Zach Moss is going to be their guy. The next game we're going to is Saturday night, the Broncos at the Detroit Lions. Javonte Williams, there's some good running backs here. Javonte Williams, cautionary start this week. He's going up against a very good defense as far as the Detroit Lions go, and you really can't expect too much from that, as they're going to be in Detroit. It's going to be a good game, and just don't expect too much from Javonte Williams. Usually he would be in your lineup. Just kind of have to double guess that this week, kind of see what else you have. He's going to be cautionary. As far as the Lions go, David Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, definitely got to start both those guys this week. Broncos are one of the dead last against rushes, if not the dead last, so it definitely leaves a lot of room for Montgomery and Gibbs this week. They're one of the best tandems in the league. Got to start them. The next game we're going to is the Giants at the Saints, and that's going to be our first 1 o'clock game on Sunday. We're starting both these guys, Saquon Barkley, Alvin Kamara. I shouldn't have to cover that too much. Saints have a good defense, so it's going to be a little bit tougher for Barkley, but he gets so much usage as that offense is pretty sucky. And Alvin Kamara, he's going to be a start. Derek Carr's back now. He's going to be dumping off the ball to Kamara, and Kamara's going to still be a huge part of this offense. So obviously, got to start Kamara. The next game we're going to is the Bears at the Browns. As far as the Bears go, Khalil Herbert, Rashawn Johnson, got to sit both those guys this week. The Browns have a great run defense, especially against running backs and fantasy in general, not just the rush. But Khalil Herbert, Rashawn Johnson, they're not that effective. They're going to be sitting this week. Don't put them in your lineup. As far as the Browns go, Kareem Hunt, Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford is questionable. It looks like he is more towards probable. However, I'm going to put him as a cautionary start this week. The Bears have a pretty bad defense, so it's a good matchup for the Browns. But I look for Kareem Hunt in this one. Kareem Hunt's going to be a start for me. I think that they're going to be looking for him in the red zone, and it's definitely a good matchup for him, as he's a very experienced back and definitely will capitalize on this defense. So Kareem Hunt, definitely a start this week. The next game is the Atlanta Falcons at Carolina Panthers. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier for the Falcons. Bijan's obviously going to be a start. He's been playing great, and this is a great matchup. Carolina's one of the dead last against running backs. Bijan is going to have a hell of a day. And Tyler Algier, he's a cautionary start. It's a great matchup for him. Atlanta has been involving him in the offense as of late. And so I certainly think this is a game where maybe they involve him more than they usually do, and he actually gets a lot of points. So Tyler Algier, look for him there in your lineup if you have to at flex, or if you have to pick him up, whatever the case may be. Algier is not a bad idea. Now the Panthers, Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, you got to sit both those guys. Chuba Hubbard, he's been playing pretty well, but this is the number 2, very solid number 2 against running backs so far this year in the Atlanta Falcons defense. So definitely Chuba Hubbard going to sit him and Miles Sanders this week. Miles Sanders hasn't proven much whatsoever. Now, as far as the next game goes, we got the Buccaneers at the Panthers. The Packers. Rachaad White for the Buccaneers. Definitely got to start him. Packers defense is very iffy, and Rachaad White is guaranteed points. He's a huge part of this the Buccaneers offense, and he really gets a lot of points. So definitely got to start him. Green Bay's A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones. Got a cautionary start both them. Aaron Jones, he's been injured, in and out of injury all year. He's questionable again today. He's a better running back than A.J. Dillon, if we're all being honest. But they're going up against the Buccaneers, who have a very good defense. So I don't expect too much from A.J. Dillon or Aaron Jones. But if Aaron Jones is out, it's going to be a good quality game for A.J. Dillon, as he'll get a lot of carries. So A.J. Dillon might not be a bad person to throw in there. Our next 1 o'clock game will be the Jets at the Miami Dolphins. We're starting all of these running backs. Breece Hall, Mostert, Achane. We all know what they do. Mostert and Achane are actually just like Gibbs and Montgomery. They're both arguably the best running back tandem in the league. So there's no question they've got to start them, including Breece Hall, against a decent Miami defense. The next game we're going to be going to is going to be the Chiefs at the Patriots. It's a little messy here as far as running backs go. Definitely in this game, Isaiah Pacheco is questionable. He didn't play last week. He did play limited fashion last week, and he is going to be back this week. So it's looking good for him. I'm going to have to cautionary start him, though. Who knows? He might not play. Again, this is Tuesday. So definitely cautionary start Isaiah Pacheco. Jerick McKinnon, he's going to be a cautionary start as well. He played very well in place of Pacheco, and I think it could continue if Pacheco doesn't play. Now, if Pacheco's playing, certainly do not put McKinnon in your lineup. It's not a good option. But if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is somebody you're thinking about, don't think about him anymore. Definitely have to sit him. He's not getting much usage. And as far as the Patriots go, Ezekiel Elliott, Ramondre Stevenson. Ezekiel Elliott's a start this week. He's been playing very well the past couple weeks with Stevenson being out, and it's going to continue against the Chiefs. Now, Stevenson is questionable. He might come back this week, which will limit Zeke. However, I still think Zeke will be getting the number one touches, so definitely start Zeke and sit Ramondre Stevenson this week. The last 1 o'clock game we're going to is Devin Singletary, Derrick Henry, Tyjae Spears. We're looking at the Texans, the Titans. Devin Singletary is a cautionary start for me. It's not a good matchup against the Titans. Titans have a very good defense. C.J. Stroud's dealing with some injuries, so it's not looking too good for Devin Singletary. However, Devin Singletary's been putting up numbers all year, so it's hard not to kind of rely on him. So certainly look for 10 to 15 points, but nothing more kind of game from him. So if you have to put him in your lineup as a flex, go ahead and do so, but nothing more than that. Now the Titans, different story. Derrick Henry, Tyjae Spears, definitely start both of them. I'm not going to cover King Henry too much. Definitely got to start him. But Tyjae Spears, he's been on the come up. He's been catching a lot of passes, getting a lot of rushes compared to Henry. So look for him to definitely be putting up points this week. Next up, we're going to San Francisco at the Arizona Cardinals. Christian McCaffrey, not much to say there. Get him started. James Conner, cautionary start. It's a very good San Francisco defense. However, James Conner, I have a lot of faith in him. I think he's going to play good this week. He's not going to have his best week ever. However, it's going to be one of his better games of the year. Definitely got to start James Conner. Next up, we're going to Washington Commanders at the LA Rams. And this one is pretty simple. Brian Robinson, he's questionable. Hasn't been playing up to par this year. Got to sit him. Antonio Gibson, who's going to be playing in his role, got to sit him against a very good Rams defense. And Kyron Williams, you got to put him in your lineup. He's facing the Commanders defense, who is not very good. Kyron Williams has been putting up tremendous numbers since he's been back, and he's definitely a start. Now going to our last 4 o'clock game, we have the Cowboys at the Bills. For the Cowboys, Tony Pollard, Rico Dowdle. Got to start Tony Pollard, obviously. Rico Dowdle is going to be a cautionary start. He's been playing pretty well this year. He's a little inconsistent, obviously, but against the Bills defense, who has been struggling as of lately, I think Rico Dowdle might be a good flex option or somebody you want to pick up. As far as the Bills go, James Cook, I got to sit him this week. This is a very good defense from the Cowboys, as we have seen. And James Conner is one of the most inconsistent running backs. And one of the other things I will say is James Conner has played very well the past 3 weeks. And he kind of tends to play well and then have some bad games. So definitely got to sit him this week. It's going to be one of those games. Going to our Sunday night game, we have the Ravens at the Jaguars. Keaton Mitchell, Gus Edwards. Got to start Keaton Mitchell. He's one of those young bucks on the rise. Definitely going to be a big part of this Baltimore offense moving forward, and that's taking away from Gus Edwards. So Gus Edwards, definitely got to sit him. And Travis Etienne, you got to start him. They're going up against a good Baltimore defense. However, Travis Etienne is pretty much guaranteed points. And last but not least, we're going to our Monday game, the Eagles at the Seahawks. DeAndre Swift, got to start him. They have a lot of issues going there in Philadelphia, and they're going to start to figure it out. And against Seattle, it's a great matchup for him. Seattle, Kenneth Walker, he's going to be a start, and Zach Charbonnet is going to be a sit. Charbonnet was kind of filling in for Walker as he was injured, and that role is going to diminish a little bit. So Charbonnet, definitely got to sit him. Kenneth Walker, it's not a great matchup for him, especially coming off his second week off injury. But I do think he's going to explode this week. He's a very talented guy, and look for him to score against the Eagles. Again, this is Jonathan here with you guys. I hope you guys bear with me. I'm getting tired here myself. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Go comment. Let me know what you think. And most of all, have a great weekend and best of luck in your playoff fantasy football.